The late afternoon sun cast a warm, golden glow over the small town of Pinewood. The streets were quiet, save for the occasional hum of a passing car or the chatter of children playing in the park. On the corner of Main Street, a Tesla showroom stood out among the modest buildings, its sleek glass facade reflecting the setting sun. Inside, the futuristic cars sat on polished floors, their designs elegant and otherworldly. They seemed like a glimpse into a future far removed from the struggles of Pinewood's working-class residents. Outside the showroom, a boy stood motionless, his hands pressed against the glass window. His name was Caleb Jenkins, a 12-year-old with wide, curious eyes and a mind brimming with ideas. His messy brown hair fell over his forehead as he leaned closer to the window, his breath fogging the glass. Caleb wasn't just staring at cars, he was envisioning possibilities. To him, the Teslas weren't just vehicles, they were symbols of a better life. A solution to the hardships his family had faced for as long as he could remember. The Jenkins family had always lived modestly, but the past year had been particularly difficult. Caleb's father, Mr. Jenkins, was a skilled mechanic who had spent most of his life fixing cars in a small, rundown garage at the edge of town. He had a reputation for being honest and hardworking, the kind of man who never charged more than what was fair. But when their old family car broke down and couldn't be repaired, everything changed. The car had been more than just a vehicle, it was the cornerstone of Mr. Jenkins' livelihood. Without it, he couldn't commute to jobs or transport tools. The garage, already struggling against bigger competitors, eventually had to close. Caleb's mother, Mrs. Jenkins, worked part-time at a diner, but her income wasn't enough to support the family, especially with her health issues that left her tired most days. Bills piled up, dinner portions grew smaller. Caleb began to feel the weight of his parents' whispered conversations late at night, their voices filled with worry. Despite it all, they never let their struggles dull their love for each other or for Caleb. Caleb was a bright and curious boy. At school, his teachers often praised his creativity and his knack for solving problems. But Caleb's favorite subject wasn't just science or math, it was dreaming. He would sketch endlessly in his notebook, drawing designs for gadgets, machines, and cars. His most ambitious idea was a compact, affordable electric car that could be used by families like his own, something that didn't rely on gas and wouldn't break down so easily. On weekends, Caleb would wander into town and stop by the Tesla showroom. It was his favorite place, a sanctuary where he could lose himself in thoughts of what could be. He admired the cars not just for their beauty but for what they represented, a world where innovation could make life easier for everyone. Caleb often imagined his father behind the wheel of a Tesla, smiling for the first time in months, his worries fading away. But in the back of his mind, Caleb knew Teslas were impossibly expensive. It was a dream he kept to himself, too fragile to say out loud. That particular afternoon, Caleb had been standing outside the showroom longer than usual. He had skipped going to the park with his friends, choosing instead to study the cars on display. His favorite was a pearl-white Tesla Model 3, its smooth curves and minimalist design making it look like something out of a science fiction movie. As he stood there, he whispered to himself, one day, I'll build something like this." The words hung in the air, carried by the faint breeze. Caleb didn't notice the man who had stopped nearby, watching him with quiet curiosity. The man, dressed casually in jeans and a black jacket, seemed out of place in Pinewood. He had salt and pepper hair, intelligent eyes, and an air of quiet confidence. After a moment, the man approached Caleb and spoke. "Do you like Teslas?" he asked, his voice warm and friendly. Startled, Caleb turned around, his cheeks flushing with embarrassment. He recognized the man almost immediately. His face had appeared on countless magazine covers and news articles. It was Elon Musk, the man behind Tesla, SpaceX, and so many other things Caleb admired. Yeah. Caleb stammered, nervously tugging at the frayed hem of his jacket. "I think they're amazing." Elon crouched slightly to meet Caleb's gaze, a small smile playing on his lips. "What do you like about them?" he asked. "The speed? The design?" Caleb hesitated, then found his voice. "They're not just cars," he said earnestly. "They're solutions. They don't pollute the air. And they're so smart. I've read about autopilot and how they're trying to make them more affordable." My dad says technology like this could change the world. Elon's smile widened. That's a pretty big idea for someone your age. What's your name? Caleb, the boy replied. Caleb Jenkins. Well, Caleb, Elon said, you seem like someone who dreams big. Do you want to be an engineer when you grow up? Caleb nodded, his excitement bubbling over. I want to build cars like these one day, he said, cars that people like my dad can afford. He used to be a mechanic. But he lost his job when our car broke down. If we had something like this, maybe things would be different. Elon listened intently, his expression growing more thoughtful. That's a lot to carry for someone your age, he said gently, but it sounds like you're already thinking about solutions. That's what the world needs. Caleb looked down, his fingers nervously fidgeting. It's just a dream, he said quietly. We can't even afford a regular car right now, let alone something like this. For a moment, Elon said nothing. Then, he placed a hand on Caleb's shoulder. Dreams aren't just dreams if you're willing to work for them, he said, and sometimes, a little help can make all the difference. That evening, Caleb couldn't stop thinking about the encounter. He had told his parents about meeting Elon Musk, but they had assumed he was exaggerating or mistaken. After all, why would someone like Elon Musk be in Pinewood? But Caleb knew it had been real. And for the first time in a long while, he felt a spark of hope, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, his dreams weren't as impossible as they seemed. As Caleb drifted off to sleep that night, he clutched his notebook tightly, his mind racing with ideas. He didn't know how or when, but something inside him whispered that his life was about to change. The next morning, Caleb woke up early, the memory of the previous evening still vivid in his mind. He sat by the window in his small bedroom, staring at his worn-out notebook filled with car sketches and notes. A part of him wondered if the encounter with Elon Musk had been nothing more than a dream. After all, what were the odds of meeting someone like that in Pinewood, of all places? But Caleb couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was about to happen. The Jenkins family was gathered around their modest kitchen table, sharing a simple breakfast of toast and scrambled eggs. Caleb's father, Mr. Jenkins, sat silently, his hands wrapped around a cup of black coffee. His face, lined with the weariness of months of unemployment, brightened momentarily as Caleb chatted excitedly about his dreams. You know, Dad, Caleb said, his voice brimming with optimism, if I ever get the chance, I'm going to build cars that work for everyone, not just the rich people. Mr. Jenkins smiled faintly. That's a big dream, kiddo, but big dreams take big effort and a little bit of luck. Caleb grinned, determined to prove his father's words true. Just then, a sound outside caught their attention, the low hum of an engine. But this wasn't just any engine, it was different. Quieter, almost like a whisper. Caleb's head shot up, and he dashed to the window. What he saw made his jaw drop. A pristine white Tesla Model 3 was parked in front of their house, its sleek design glinting in the morning sunlight. Caleb froze, his heart pounding in disbelief. A man in a black jacket and a Tesla logo baseball cap stepped out of the car, followed by another man holding a clipboard. Dad, Mom, come quick, Caleb shouted, his voice filled with excitement. Mr. Jenkins hurried to the window, his expression shifting from confusion to shock. What in the world? The family stepped outside, hesitant yet curious. Caleb's mind raced. Could this really be happening? The man in the black jacket approached them with a warm smile. Good morning. Are you the Jenkins family? He asked. Mr. Jenkins nodded cautiously. Yes, that's us. Can I help you? The man extended his hand. My name is Henry, and I'm with Tesla. I believe you met someone special yesterday. Caleb's eyes widened. Mr. Elon? He blurted out, his voice trembling with excitement. Henry chuckled. That's right. Mr. Musk told us about your family and your story. Caleb, he wanted to do something to help. He turned and gestured to the white Tesla behind him. This Model 3 is for your family. It's fully paid for, and it's yours to keep. For a moment, silence hung in the air. Then, Caleb's mother, Mrs. Jenkins, clasped her hands over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. This can't be real, she whispered. Mr. Jenkins, his voice shaking, said, You're giving us this car? For free? Henry nodded. That's right. Mr. Musk believes in helping people who are working hard and dreaming big. He thinks your family deserves a fresh start. Caleb's heart swelled with emotions he couldn't put into words. He looked at his father, whose eyes were glistening with tears. "Dad, this means you can start working again," Caleb said, his voice filled with hope. Mr. Jenkins nodded, running a hand over the smooth surface of the car. "I don't even know what to say. This changes everything." Henry handed Mr. Jenkins the keys and a folder containing all the car's paperwork. He also spent the next hour explaining the car's features, from charging it at home to using the autopilot functions. Caleb listened intently, absorbing every detail. It felt like he was standing on the edge of a new world, one that wasn't just a dream anymore. As the Tesla representatives prepared to leave, Henry turned to Caleb. "Mr. Musk also wanted me to give you this," he said, handing the boy a sealed envelope. Caleb opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a handwritten note. "Dear Caleb, meeting you was a reminder of why I started Tesla, to create solutions, not just products. Your passion and vision for the future inspired me. Never stop dreaming, and never stop believing in yourself. P.S. I've arranged a little something to help you get back to school. Keep learning. Caleb, the world needs people like you. Elon." Caleb stared at the note, his eyes brimming with tears. "I won't let you down, Mr. Elon," he whispered. The days that followed were a whirlwind of change for the Jenkins family. With the Tesla Model 3, Mr. Jenkins was able to restart his driving career, taking passengers to and from the city. The sleek car not only turned heads but also attracted more customers, eager for a ride in a Tesla. Business flourished, and for the first time in months, the Jenkins family could breathe a little easier. Caleb returned to school on the scholarship Elon Musk had promised, his backpack slung over his shoulder and his head held high. His classmates crowded around him, bombarding him with questions. "Is it true? Did Elon Musk really give you a Tesla?" one of them asked. Caleb grinned, holding up the handwritten note as proof. "It's true, and he said I should keep dreaming big." His teacher, Ms. Whitaker, pulled him aside after class. "Caleb, I always knew you had potential. Don't let this opportunity slip by. You're destined for great things." Caleb nodded, determination burning in his chest. "I won't," he said. "I'll make it count." At home, Caleb began sketching again, filling his notebook with designs for electric cars. But now, his ideas were more focused. He started thinking about how to make cars more affordable and accessible to families like his own. He spent hours researching online, learning about batteries, motors, and renewable energy. One evening, as he worked at his desk, Caleb's father walked in and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're going to do amazing things, Caleb," he said. "I can feel it." Caleb looked up, his eyes shining. "Thanks, Dad. I want to help people, like Mr. Elon helped us." Mr. Jenkins smiled. "And you will. Just keep believing in yourself." The white Tesla Model 3 became a symbol of transformation for the Jenkins family. From the moment it was delivered, their lives began to shift in ways they hadn't dared to imagine. For Caleb, the car wasn't just a gift, it was a spark of possibility, igniting a vision of what his family and his future could become. The day after receiving the Tesla, Mr. Jenkins polished the car until it gleamed in the sunlight. He had been a mechanic for over 20 years, and while he'd repaired hundreds of cars, he had never driven anything like this. Sitting behind the wheel, he marveled at the advanced technology, the smooth dashboard, the touchscreen controls, the silent hum of the electric motor. "Ready for a test drive, Caleb?" he called out to his son, who was watching him with excitement from the front porch. Caleb climbed into the passenger seat, his eyes wide as he took in the car's futuristic interior. "It's like a spaceship," he exclaimed. Mr. Jenkins laughed, the sound filled with a sense of hope that had been absent for months. As they drove through the streets of Pinewood, the car turned heads. Neighbors waved, curious about the sleek vehicle gliding silently past them. Mr. Jenkins couldn't stop smiling, his hands steady on the wheel as he regained a sense of purpose he thought he had lost forever. By the end of the week, Mr. Jenkins had secured his first set of passengers for the new car. Word spread quickly, and soon, he was receiving more requests than he could handle. The Tesla wasn't just a means of transportation, it was a magnet for opportunity. Inside the Jenkins home, the atmosphere began to shift. Mrs. Jenkins, who had spent months worrying about the family's future, started to smile again. The stress lines on her face softened as she cooked dinner for her family. Humming quietly to herself. One evening, as they gathered around the dinner table, Caleb couldn't help but notice how different everything felt. The air was lighter, filled with laughter and conversation. His father recounted stories from his day on the road, sharing amusing encounters with passengers who marveled at the car's autopilot features. And then, Mr. Jenkins said, chuckling, "This one guy asked me if the car could fly. I told him, not yet, but give it a few years." Caleb laughed along with his parents, his heart swelling with gratitude. For the first time in what felt like forever, their family felt whole again. A week after the Tesla arrived, Caleb returned to school, thanks to the scholarship Elon Musk had arranged. His parents no longer had to worry about tuition fees. Caleb walked through the school gates with his head held high, clutching his notebook tightly to his chest. As he entered his classroom, his classmates erupted into whispers and gasps. "Did you hear? Caleb's family got a Tesla. Is it true you met Elon Musk? What's he like? Is he as cool as people say?" Caleb smiled shyly, overwhelmed by the attention. "He's really nice," he said simply, unsure of how to put his feelings into words. During lunch, Caleb's best friend, Jordan, approached him. "Dude, is it true?" Jordan asked, his eyes wide with excitement. "Did he really give you a car?" Caleb nodded, his face breaking into a grin. "It's not just about the car," he said. "Mr. Elon, he believed in me. He said I should never stop dreaming." Jordan clapped him on the back. "Man, that's awesome. You're gonna do big things. I can feel it." Back at home, Caleb threw himself into his sketches with renewed determination. Every evening after finishing his homework, he sat at his desk, designing cars that could make a difference for families like his own. He thought about affordability, efficiency, and sustainability, imagining a future where no family had to struggle like his had. One evening, his father walked into his room, carrying a mug of hot cocoa. "What are you working on, son?" Mr. Jenkins asked, peering over Caleb's shoulder. Caleb turned the notebook around, revealing a detailed sketch of a compact electric car. "I want to build a car that's small, affordable, and easy to maintain," Caleb explained, "something families like ours can afford." Mr. Jenkins studied the drawing, his eyes filled with pride. "That's a big idea, Caleb, but I think you've got what it takes to make it happen." Caleb smiled, his father's words giving him the confidence to keep going. "Thanks, Dad, I'll do my best." The Tesla Model 3 wasn't just a blessing for the Jenkins family, it became a beacon of hope for the entire community. Pinewood was a town where many families struggled to make ends meet. And Caleb's story spread quickly. At church on Sundays, neighbors approached Mr. Jenkins to congratulate him. "We're so happy for you," one woman said, tears in her eyes. "Your family deserves this." The local newspaper ran a story about Caleb's encounter with Elon Musk, titled, "A Boy with Big Dreams and a Helping Hand." The article highlighted the power of kindness and the importance of believing in the potential of the next generation. Caleb's story inspired other kids in Pinewood to dream bigger. At school, his teachers noticed a newfound energy among their students. Caleb became something of a local celebrity. But he remained humble, always quick to credit his family and Mr. Musk for giving him the chance to succeed. A month later, Caleb's school announced its annual science fair. Encouraged by his teacher, Ms. Whitaker, Caleb decided to enter. He spent weeks preparing, designing a prototype for a compact electric car that could be manufactured at a fraction of the cost of current models. On the day of the fair, Caleb stood nervously by his project display, watching as judges and students wandered from booth to booth. When the judges finally arrived at his table, Caleb took a deep breath and launched into his presentation. "This is a design for an affordable electric car," Caleb explained, pointing to his detailed sketches and the small 3D-printed model he had created. "It's smaller than most electric cars, making it cheaper to build. And it uses a simplified battery system that's easier to replace." The judges nodded thoughtfully, asking questions about Caleb's design process and the inspiration behind his idea. Caleb answered each question with confidence, his passion shining through. At the end of the day, Caleb's project won first place. As he accepted his trophy, he looked out at the crowd and saw his parents beaming with pride. He held the trophy high, feeling a surge of gratitude for everyone who had supported him. That evening, Caleb sat at his desk and wrote a letter to Elon Musk. Dear Mr. Elon, thank you for believing in me and my family. The Tesla you gave us changed everything. My dad is working again. And I'm back in school. I wanted to let you know that I won first place at my school's science fair. My project was a design for an affordable electric car. I'm going to keep working on it. And one day, I hope to make it real. You told me to never stop dreaming. And I won't. Thank you for everything. Sincerely, Caleb Jenkins. As Caleb sealed the envelope, he felt a sense of purpose he had never felt before. He didn't know what the future held, but he was ready to face it head on. The days following Caleb's science fair victory were some of the happiest of his life. His trophy sat proudly on the shelf in his bedroom, a reminder of how far he had come. But more than that, it symbolized something deeper. The belief that his dreams were no longer just ideas scrawled in a notebook, they were possibilities within reach. A week after the science fair, Caleb returned home from school to find his parents waiting for him in the living room. His father held a large envelope with the Tesla logo printed in the corner. Caleb's heart raced as he took the envelope, carefully opening it. Inside was a letter addressed to him. Dear Caleb, I was thrilled to hear about your success at the science fair. Your project demonstrates incredible creativity and a commitment to solving real-world problems. I'd like to invite you and your family to visit Tesla's Innovation Center in Palo Alto. During your visit, you'll have the chance to meet some of our engineers and see firsthand how we design and build electric vehicles. Keep dreaming big, Caleb. The future needs thinkers like you. Warm regards, Elon Musk. Caleb's hands shook as he read the letter aloud. His parents exchanged excited glances, their pride evident in their smiles. You're really going to Tesla's headquarters, Caleb, Mrs. Jenkins said, her eyes welling with tears. And we're going with you, Mr. Jenkins added, his voice full of pride. The days leading up to their trip were filled with a mix of excitement and nervous energy. Caleb spent hours researching Tesla's Innovation Center, reading everything he could find about the engineers and their groundbreaking projects. He carefully packed his sketches and science fair materials, hoping to show them to anyone willing to listen. Meanwhile, his parents prepared for their first trip outside Pinewood in years. Mr. Jenkins made sure the Tesla Model 3 was spotless, polishing it until it gleamed like new. The night before they left, Caleb sat on his bed, staring at the letter from Elon Musk. I hope I don't mess this up, he whispered to himself. You won't, his mother said softly from the doorway. Just be yourself, Caleb. That's more than enough. The morning of the trip dawned bright and clear. As the Jenkins family loaded their bags into the Tesla, neighbors gathered to send them off with waves and cheers. Make us proud, Caleb, shouted Mrs. Whitaker, his teacher, from across the street. The drive to Palo Alto was long but exhilarating. Caleb spent most of the ride staring out the window, marveling at the changing landscapes. Every so often, he would glance at the Tesla's dashboard, amazed at how seamlessly the car navigated the roads. When they finally arrived at the Tesla Innovation Center, Caleb felt like he had stepped into another world. The sprawling campus was a marvel of modern architecture, with sleek glass buildings surrounded by lush greenery. Dozens of Teslas lined the parking lot, their designs as elegant as the day Caleb first saw them. The Jenkins family was greeted by a team of Tesla representatives, who led them into the main building. Caleb's eyes widened as they walked through the lobby, which was adorned with large digital screens showcasing Tesla's latest innovations. Welcome, Caleb, said a familiar voice. Caleb turned to see Elon Musk approaching, his smile warm and genuine. I'm glad you could make it. Caleb hesitated for a moment before stepping forward. Thank you for inviting us, Mr. Elon, he said, his voice filled with awe. Elon crouched slightly to meet Caleb's gaze. No need to thank me. You've earned this. Now, let's show you around. The tour began in Tesla's design studio, where engineers and designers worked on cutting-edge concepts. Caleb was mesmerized by the intricate 3D models displayed on massive screens and the life-sized clay prototypes of future cars. This is where ideas come to life, Elon explained. Every car starts with a sketch, just like the ones in your notebook. Caleb couldn't contain his excitement. Can I show you some of my sketches? He asked. Elon nodded enthusiastically. Of course. Caleb pulled out his notebook, flipping to the pages filled with detailed designs of compact electric cars. Elon studied them carefully, nodding in approval. "These are impressive," he said. "You're thinking about accessibility and affordability, exactly what the world needs." Elon turned to one of the engineers. "Take a look at this," he said, handing over the notebook. "I think we've got a future innovator here." The engineer smiled, extending a hand to Caleb. "You've got a great eye for design," he said. "If you ever want to intern here, let us know." Caleb's cheeks flushed with pride. "Thank you," he said, barely able to contain his excitement. The tour continued through the production floor, where Caleb and his family watched as robotic arms assembled cars with incredible precision. The sight was both humbling and inspiring, a testament to what human ingenuity could achieve. At one point, Caleb was invited to try his hand at a design challenge. Using a digital interface, he worked alongside a Tesla engineer to create a concept for a lightweight, energy-efficient battery casing. Though he was nervous at first, Caleb quickly found his rhythm, impressing the team with his problem-solving skills. "You've got a natural talent," the engineer said. "Keep this up, and you'll be designing cars in no time." As the day drew to a close, Elon Musk invited the Jenkins family to a small gathering in the Innovation Center's atrium. There, he presented Caleb with a certificate of recognition, acknowledging his creativity and vision. "Caleb, you remind us why we do what we do," Elon said. "The future isn't just about technology, it's about the people who dare to dream big. I believe you're one of those people." The room erupted in applause as Caleb accepted the certificate. He looked out at the crowd, his heart swelling with gratitude and determination. The drive back to Pinewood was filled with stories and laughter as the Jenkins family recounted their incredible day. Caleb clutched his certificate tightly, already thinking about how he could turn his ideas into reality. "Do you think I'll really get to work at Tesla one day?" he asked his father. Mr. Jenkins smiled, glancing at Caleb in the rearview mirror. "I don't think it, I know it. You've got what it takes, son." As they pulled into their driveway, Caleb felt a renewed sense of purpose. The Tesla Model 3 sat quietly under the glow of the street lamp, a reminder of how far they had come. Caleb knew the journey wasn't over, it was just beginning. Back in Pinewood, the Jenkins family settled into their routine. But everything felt different. The Tesla visit had ignited a fire in Caleb that couldn't be extinguished. Every evening, after finishing his homework, he would sit at his desk, sketching and brainstorming new ideas for affordable electric cars. His inspiration from the Tesla Innovation Center fueled a relentless drive to create. Meanwhile, Mr. Jenkins' driving business flourished. The Tesla Model 3 became a symbol of hope for the entire community, a beacon of what kindness and perseverance could achieve. Passengers often asked him about the car and Caleb's story, and Mr. Jenkins would share with pride how his son's dreams had set their family on a new path. Caleb's story continued to ripple through Pinewood. Inspired by his determination, local schools started STEM programs, encouraging students to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. Caleb's teachers frequently invited him to share his journey with younger students, and his words ignited a spark in many of them. One day, Caleb's principal approached him with an exciting opportunity. "Caleb," she said, "we've been contacted by the State Science Council. They'd like you to present your ideas at the Regional Innovation Fair." Caleb's heart raced. "Me? Present at a regional fair?" The principal smiled. "Absolutely. You've proven that you have the creativity and the drive to make a real difference. This is your chance to show others what you can do." The Regional Innovation Fair was a bustling event, with students from across the state showcasing their projects. Caleb's booth featured his designs for a compact, affordable electric car, complete with a small-scale model he had built using recycled materials. His display boards explained his vision for making electric vehicles accessible to working-class families. As judges and visitors stopped by, Caleb spoke with passion and confidence. He explained how his car would use lightweight materials and modular battery systems to reduce costs while maintaining efficiency. The simplicity of his design captured the judges' attention, and by the end of the day, Caleb was awarded the grand prize. News of his success spread quickly, drawing the attention of local media outlets and community leaders. But Caleb remained humble, using every opportunity to thank his family and the people who had supported him. One evening, a few weeks after the innovation fair, Caleb received a package in the mail. Inside was a letter from Elon Musk, along with a small gift. Dear Caleb, congratulations on your success at the Innovation Fair. I've been following your journey, and I'm so proud of what you've accomplished. Your ideas align with the future of sustainable transportation, and I'm confident you'll continue to make an impact. Enclosed is a toolkit we use at Tesla to prototype ideas. I hope it inspires you to keep designing and innovating. Remember, the road ahead won't always be easy, but with determination, you can achieve anything. Looking forward to seeing your work change the world. Best, Elon. Caleb's hands trembled as he held the letter. The toolkit included 3D modeling software, engineering manuals, and other resources to help him bring his ideas to life. It was exactly what he needed to take the next step. As the years passed, Caleb's dedication only deepened. He earned scholarships to attend a prestigious university, where he studied mechanical engineering and sustainable design. His professors often marveled at his ability to think creatively and practically, traits that had been nurtured during his early years of sketching and problem-solving. Caleb's projects gained attention beyond the university, with his designs for affordable electric vehicles winning multiple awards. He secured internships at Tesla, where he worked alongside the very engineers who had inspired him years ago. Each step brought him closer to his ultimate goal, creating a car that would change lives. 10 years after that fateful encounter outside the Tesla showroom, Caleb returned to Pinewood. The town had changed, new businesses had sprung up, and the community was thriving. But Caleb's favorite spot remained the same, the Tesla showroom where it had all begun. Now a full-fledged automotive engineer, Caleb was no longer the boy dreaming through the glass. He was a key designer at Tesla, working on projects that aligned with his vision of accessibility and sustainability. His latest project, a compact, budget-friendly electric car, was nearing production. One afternoon, Caleb visited his old school to speak to the students. Standing in the gymnasium, he looked out at the sea of young faces and smiled. When I was your age, he began, I stood where you're sitting now. I had big dreams, but I didn't know if they'd ever come true. Thanks to people who believed in me, like my family and Mr. Elon Musk, I realized that dreams are just the beginning. It's the hard work, resilience, and willingness to learn that turn them into reality. Caleb's story didn't just inspire the students, it reignited a sense of hope in the entire community. His family started a scholarship fund for aspiring young innovators, ensuring that others could pursue their dreams just as Caleb had. As for Caleb, he never forgot the kindness that had changed his life. Every year, he personally mentored a group of young engineers, passing on the same encouragement and support he had received. One evening, as Caleb stood outside the Tesla showroom with his father, now retired and proud of his son's achievements, they watched a young boy staring through the glass. Looks familiar, doesn't it? Mr. Jenkins said with a chuckle. Caleb smiled. It does. Let's go say hi. Approaching the boy, Caleb crouched down and said, Dreaming big? The boy nodded shyly. Caleb handed him a notebook. Here, he said, every dream starts with a sketch. I believe you've got some big ideas waiting to come out. The boy's eyes lit up. And in that moment, Caleb saw a reflection of himself. He knew the journey would continue, not just for him, but for every dreamer inspired by the power of kindness and perseverance. Caleb's compact, affordable electric car became a global success, revolutionizing transportation for working-class families. Its impact extended far beyond the automotive world, serving as a testament to the power of dreams, resilience, and the kindness of those willing to lend a helping hand. Years later, when asked about his journey, Caleb would always point back to that quiet afternoon outside the Tesla showroom. It started with a dream, he'd say, but it was the people who believed in me who made it possible. Caleb's story reminds us that no dream is too big, no act of kindness too small, and no future too bright to reach for.